All right, everyone, for the next section of this podcast, I'm going to talk about a stat that should bring a lot of hope to everyone, but that also might be a slap in the face for some people. And that's okay, because sometimes you need a good slap in the face to change your ways. So this is a stat that I'm going to bring up because all around you hear that life is getting more expensive. And it's true, life is getting more expensive. And this stat, however, is going to show all of us, myself included, that while life is getting more expensive, we also are choosing to spend more money than ever on things that are not necessary for life. So let's dive into the stat. So this is according to the Consumer Expenditure Report for 2022. Okay, this is done by the Bureau of Labor and Statistics in the United States. You can look it up online if you're interested. So, according to this Consumer Expenditure Report from 2022, the average American spent $3,639 on eating outside of their home in 2022. So that's eating out, right? Over $3,600. This is just the average American expenditure, right? All these are based off average numbers. So the average American spent $3,639 on eating outside of their home in 2022. They also spent $3,458 on entertainment, $583 on alcoholic beverages, $1,287 on out-of-home housing, so that's vacations, to be clear. And this all compounded means that the average American spent $8,967 on non-essential items in 2022. Now, let's be very clear, because I don't want you all coming after me like I am Scrooge. It's Christmas time, like sometimes you got to spend some money. That's cool. I like going on a nice fancy dinner every now and then. I like different forms of entertainment. I just went and saw Die Hard in theaters. They re-released it. It was freaking awesome. I loved it. So that was something that I deemed worth spending money on, The point I'm trying to make is that it is fine to state the fact that life is getting more expensive, but it's not okay to take on this victim mentality of, oh, well, my life is terrible, I can't change it, I can't save money, I'm never going to be able to get a house. Say all these things when, the average American is spending almost $9,000 a year on non-essential items. Now, once again, don't call me a miser. I think that there are things you should definitely do that contribute to the overall happiness of your life. You should go and have experiences that cost money. You should go enjoy entertainment to a healthy degree, like moderation in all things. You should go have drinks with your buddies, like it was saying that the average American spent $583 on alcoholic beverages a year. That was actually lower than I had expected. But the point I'm trying to make is that we as men get to make choices with where our money goes. I believe we are called to be good stewards of our finances and to delay gratification in many areas so that we can accomplish our goals. And that's what is required. It's like there's always going to be stuff thrown at us to buy. People are always going to be trying to get us to buy things. But it is up to us to have the courage and the wherewithal to say no. I may want this thing. I may want that thing. That thing may look cool, but I have broader goals. I have the interest of my family in mind. I have dreams of owning property or owning a house or getting this car. And that requires sacrifice. Sacrificing now so you can enjoy later. Now, I don't normally do this. I guess I've only had a few episodes, but I don't necessarily go and recommend other podcasts to people. It's fine if you do, obviously. I wish everybody the best. But I am going to recommend a podcast on this podcast. It's crazy. It's called The Ramsey Show. It's part of a big corporation, organization, company called Ramsey Solutions. And you've probably heard of it before, but it's all based off of this guy, Dave Ramsey, and his principles for money and living a life in which you steward your money well so that, he says, live like no one else right now so you can live and give like no one else in the future. The idea is delay gratification so you can accomplish your goals. And, I read his stuff when I was like 13 or 14, and I've been living my life by it ever since. And the thing I love about it, The thing I love about it is that his whole financial network solves for peace. And that's something that doesn't get talked about very much. But, like this idea of shouldering tons of debt, it does not contribute to a life of peace. And I mean, personally, I think most guys I know would like to have a life where they can really just drop their shoulders and be like, okay, I don't have the banker coming out for me. I don't have debt collectors coming out for me. I am my own man. I am beholden to no one, no other man anyways. To me, that's a really attractive message, and that was what they hit me with, So I've been kind of a Dave Ramsey disciple for a very long time now, and I would highly recommend it to a bunch of guys out there. If you're wondering, how do I manage my money well? What are the principles I should apply to my money? Then go check them out. Ramsey Solutions. Great podcast. They've got a bunch of different hosts that do a bunch of amazing stuff over there. So yeah, highly recommend them. They do a great job. But anyways, yeah, I want to bring this all full circle. It's a message of hope. All right, this consumer report that came out, when you look at it in its totality, you're like, okay, the average American could, and I'm not saying they should, but they could save around $9,000 a year just changing their budget around. That doesn't mean, working extra or finding different ways to make money. That just means cutting certain things out of their monetary diet, right? So it's like, we spend almost, $9,000 a year, the average American does, on things that aren't strictly necessary for your existence. Once again, I'm not saying that you have to do that. What I am saying is that as men, I believe we are called to be good stewards of our money so that we can bless people around us, so that we can help those around us, so that we can look out for the welfare of our families and make sure that they are well taken care of. And a lot of that comes down to delaying that gratification, because there's always something new that you're going to want. And even though it's Christmas and the consumerist mindset is everywhere, and it's when Americans spend the most amount of money. I know I spent a lot on gifts recently too. Even though it's that time of year, I just want to put the message out there. I thought that was a really interesting stat I wanted to share with you all, because it does point to the idea that discipline has monetary repercussions. These intangible things lead to tangible results. And so this podcast, which is all about, making choices to define your future, right? Writing your own script to your life. You can do it. That's the point of this podcast, and it has ramifications down the road. That's all I have to say on this stat. Americans spend almost $9,000 on non-essential items every year.